The real power shift isn't happening in headlines. It's happening in silence. One after another, the world's most critical alliances are leaving Washington behind and setting up shop in Ottawa. From defense and science to energy and tech, the United States is quietly losing ground, and Canada is gaining leverage. So what's changed? Why are global players betting their futures on Canada instead of America? And most importantly, how will these quiet moves reshape your economy, your security, and your future? Stick around. These 10 strategic shifts aren't just relocations, they're warnings. Number 10. Global defense ties drifting away from the U.S. It's not just factories and jobs relocating. Military alliances are beginning to shift. 2. For decades, the United States was the anchor of global defense cooperation. But today, longtime allies are quietly redirecting operations north to Canada. What's behind the change? A growing lack of trust. Concerns over political instability, leaks, and unpredictable foreign policy are driving nations to seek steadier ground. Canada, with its consistent diplomacy and reputation for neutrality, is filling the gap. Just look at recent joint military drills involving European countries and Canada, with no U.S. command in sight. That's not a fluke. It's a sign of realignment. If even military coordination is migrating, what does that mean for America's grip on global security? Number 9. Canada takes the lead in energy transformation. The energy game is changing fast, and Canada is seizing the momentum. The Canada-US Energy Transformation Task Force just got renewed. But this time, the playbook is different. Canada isn't just participating, it's leading. From hydrogen innovation to clean energy corridors that cross borders, Ottawa is setting the pace while Washington plays catch-up. Why? Because Canada offers what the U.S. now finds harder to guarantee: consistent environmental policy, fewer regulatory delays, and a wealth of resources critical for the net zero push. American officials aren't just taking notes. They're flying north to figure out how to stay in the game. So the big question is, are these two countries still partners, or is Canada quietly outpacing its southern neighbor? Before we go on, hit that subscribe button and share this video, because this is the kind of deep dive most headlines won't touch. Number 8. Canada's quiet takeover of the Agritech future. Farming is no longer just about soil and sunshine. It's about sensors, satellites, and smart data. But here's the twist. The heart of this transformation isn't in Silicon Valley or Texas's sprawling tech corridors. It's in Quebec. That's right, global powerhouses like Bayer, Zonag, and Axida are pouring their innovation efforts into Canada, leading a game-changing Agritech innovation consortium based in the province. Why Canada? The answer is clear. Quebec offers what the U.S. is struggling to deliver: streamlined regulation, biotech-friendly policies, and seamless collaboration between universities, startups, and government agencies. In these fields, drones scan crops for stress signals, underground sensors track moisture and nutrient levels, and AI forecasts future yields before planting begins. It's not just high-tech, it's high stakes. This isn't only about maximizing harvests. It's about long-term food security and climate resilience. As floods, droughts, and conflicts continue disrupting global supply chains, the countries with the smartest farms will be the ones with full plates. And right now, Canada is building that future. Quebec's Agritech model is already drawing attention from food councils across Europe and Asia. Meanwhile, in the U.S., progress is bogged down by red tape, lawsuits, and agricultural lobbyists clinging to outdated systems. Canada's edge: fast action, unified vision, and the courage to innovate before crisis hits. This isn't just about agriculture, it's about survival. And as the world races to feed itself in an unpredictable future, Quebec may already be harvesting tomorrow's answers, while others are still planting yesterday's seeds. Number 7. BASF's strategic pivot to Canadian innovation. What does it say when one of the world's chemical giants skips America's elite universities for a research deal with a Canadian school? That's exactly what BASF just did, and it's raising eyebrows in all the right places. Instead of signing a flagship research agreement with the likes of MIT or Stanford, BASF inked a master partnership with a Canadian university. Why? Because Canada is offering what the US no longer can: scientific freedom, political stability, and the speed to bring real-world solutions to market. This isn't just another academic collaboration. BASF's new Canadian alliance is focused on next-generation materials, low-emission technologies, and sustainable chemistry that's ready to scale globally. In other words, it's the future, and they've chosen to build it in Canada. Meanwhile, in the US, increasing red tape, volatile funding, and ideological interference are turning R&D into a gamble. Canadian universities, supported by government grants and favorable policy, are emerging as global innovation hubs, quietly outcompeting their American rivals. And the implications are huge. Where research goes, so do jobs, patents, and the global influence that comes with cutting-edge discoveries. BASF's move could be the canary in the coal mine. Is this a one-off decision, or the beginning of a larger research exodus from the US? Number 6. Canada's semiconductor surge and America's missed signal. Remember the global chip shortage that froze entire industries? Canada certainly does, and it's making sure it's ready for the next one. While the US struggles with delays, trade disputes, and soaring costs, Canada is quickly becoming the new headquarters for semiconductor resilience. And it's not hype, it's happening. Ontario and Quebec are now central players in global chip strategy. Canada's formula? Streamlined regulation, reliable international partnerships, and deep integration between government, academia, and private industry. Over the past year, major collaborations have emerged between Canadian institutions, European firms, and Asian tech suppliers, completely bypassing the traditional US supply chain. One standout initiative: a groundbreaking research center in Ontario focused on silicon photonics, crucial for 5G networks and defense tech. At the same time, Canada is securing rare earth mineral access, something the US still heavily depends on China for. That means Canada isn't just building microchips, it's building independence. While Washington debates and delays, US tech companies are quietly expanding their Canadian satellite offices just to keep momentum. And with direct foreign investment flooding in from allies like South Korea and the Netherlands, the writing's on the wall. The semiconductor center of gravity is shifting north. In tomorrow's world, the country with chip dominance controls communication, AI, defense, and right now, Canada is positioning itself to lead. Number 5. Canada takes the lead on quantum at the G7 summit. What happens when the world's biggest powers publicly agree that the future of defense, intelligence, and digital dominance won't be forged in Silicon Valley or Washington, but in Canada? That's exactly what played out at the latest G7 summit. For the first time, quantum technology wasn't hidden in the margins. It was a headline issue. And the spotlight? It fell squarely on Canada. Why? Because Canada isn't just participating, it's leading. Nations like Japan, the UK, and Germany have all signed onto a shared research framework that places Canadian institutions at the center of quantum development. Quantum breakthroughs are no longer theoretical. They're on the horizon, and no country wants to be left unprepared when encryption fails, AI accelerates, or the Internet's foundation gets rewritten. Canada has already committed over 400 million CAD to its national quantum strategy, backing world-class centers like the Perimeter Institute in Waterloo and D-Wave Systems in British Columbia. These are no longer fringe innovators. They're setting the pace. Several NATO and G7 members are even rerouting quantum research funding into Canadian labs, citing Canada's neutrality, strong ethics, and data security as key reasons for the shift. The subtext: global powers may no longer see the US as the most dependable long-term leader in emerging tech. As quantum reshapes security, finance, and global infrastructure, the question isn't just who develops it, it's who governs it. And increasingly, that answer points to Canada. Number 4. America's research talent quietly migrating north. A different kind of migration is unfolding, this time in lab coats. Prominent American scientists, academic leaders, and entire research units are quietly relocating their work from the US to Canada. What's driving this quiet exodus of intellectual firepower? The answer is a mix of political fatigue, unstable funding, and a growing need for freedom to pursue science without interference. In the US, researchers face mounting pressures. Climate science, gene editing, and public health studies are increasingly politicized, defunded, or publicly discredited. Election cycles swing funding strategies wildly, and vital long-term research gets lost in the shuffle. But in Canada, science is treated differently. Long-range investment, respect for academic autonomy, and a culture that values fact over ideology. A key example? A major climate modeling consortium originally based in California is now expanding into British Columbia, citing faster approval processes, simpler grant structures, and fewer legal hurdles. Canadian universities like McGill, UBC, and the University of Toronto are welcoming researchers fleeing red tape, visa headaches, and growing federal restrictions in the US. The result? A steady relocation of research hubs, from artificial intelligence to biotech and pandemic readiness, away from American soil. And with those labs go jobs, intellectual property, patents, and global influence. This isn't just a brain drain, it's a power shift. Canada isn't just gaining researchers, it's gaining momentum, innovation, and strategic control over the ideas shaping tomorrow's world. Number 3. Hollywood moves north. Canada becomes a production powerhouse. Red carpets, blockbuster budgets, and global streaming hits. You'd expect all of it to be crafted in Los Angeles or New York. But here's the twist. More and more of the content dominating your screens is now being produced in Canada. What's fueling this cinematic migration? It's not just snowy scenery or friendly film crews. It's strategic, driven by generous tax incentives, financial stability, and fewer labor disruptions. Major studios, European media companies, and Asian streaming platforms are locking in production deals with cities like Vancouver, Toronto, and Calgary. Canada is offering tax credits as high as 35% for production expenses, post-production work, and visual effects. Add a favorable exchange rate, relaxed union environments, and smoother labor negotiations, and suddenly filming in the US looks like a logistical headache. But this isn't just a trend, it's a transformation. Long-term partnerships are being inked with Canadian studios. Local universities are ramping up film tech programs, and even Hollywood execs are setting up satellite offices in Montreal. In 2024 alone, over $4 billion TAD flowed into Canadian entertainment infrastructure, funding that used to flow straight into California. With studios now giving Canada full creative control and local crews growing in reputation, the US might soon find itself watching the stage it once owned. Number 2. EV industry pivots north. Canada becomes battery central. The global shift toward electric vehicles isn't just about tech, it's about territory. And in 2025, the EV spotlight is shifting northward. Canada is fast becoming the epicenter of electric vehicle and battery production, drawing giants like Volkswagen, Stellantis, and Honda away from traditional American manufacturing hubs. Why? Canada offers the complete package: essential minerals like lithium, cobalt, and nickel, clean, renewable energy, and political stability that attracts long-term investment. Federal and provincial leaders are fueling this momentum with aggressive incentive programs. Stellantis and LG Energy are building the $7 billion CAD mega battery plant in Windsor. Volkswagen is investing in its first North American gigafactory, right in Ontario. Even Tesla, while American-born, is sourcing critical raw materials from Canadian mines to dodge international supply chain risks. These aren't just assembly plants, they're anchors of future mobility. Canada is now dictating the pace of EV innovation, infrastructure, and independence. And as the EV market moves from niche to necessity, the US is watching as Detroit's crown slowly migrates across the border. Canada isn't just participating in the electric future, it's steering it. Number 1. Space alliances realign. Canada becomes the new launchpad. Forget the Hollywood image of rocket launches in Florida. Canada is quietly carving out its place in the next space age. A major collaboration between Canada and the European Space Agency, ESA, is drawing in US aerospace giants, but not under Washington's banner. Instead, American companies like Lockheed Martin and Maxar are setting up operations in Canada to stay competitive and access European markets. Why the shift? Political gridlock, export restrictions, and unstable funding have weakened the U.S. grip on global space leadership. Canada, with its neutrality and streamlined cooperation agreements, is stepping into that vacuum. ESA is now investing in Canadian-led missions, integrating robotics, AI, and satellite systems developed by Canadian scientists into their Mars and lunar plans. This isn't just about tech, it's about geopolitics. American firms are relocating satellite research and mission planning to Canada to bypass regulatory red tape and keep up with European innovation. Canada is fast becoming the bridge between two superpowers, Europe and the US, and the broker of future space diplomacy. So while headlines still focus on rockets, the real story is about who writes the contracts and holds the IP. And right now, Canada is not just reaching for the stars, it's mapping the way there. These aren't future forecasts, they're realignments already in motion. As global influence gets rewritten, Canada is stepping up while America takes a backseat. Stay ahead of the curve, like subscribe and share before the next shift goes unnoticed.